So my dad was involved with my mom and dad were involved with the sideshows and circuses and the fairs and that type of business, that type of trade. And so one of the things he made was a gorilla suit. And the reason he made it was for girl to gorilla sideshows, where the girl would turn into a gorilla and the gorilla would come out and run at the audience and the whole sideshow thing was, was pretty big back when they swallowed swords and they stuck themselves with pins and had the two-headed babies and all this crazy stuff. Well, anyways, and so one of the things was the gorilla suit, and my dad we actually had a plaster of Paris mold in our basement when I was a kid. My dad would go down there and a bucket of latex and with a brush and put a layer on and one after another in the chest and the head and the hands. And now they use more slush molds today where they pour the latex in, they slush the latex around, they pour it back out, let it sit there for so long, and then they let it pour it out. But back then we put one layer on at a time, and he had a couple. I remember that we had to go down to Goodwill because he needed a couple of hair dryers to blow onto the plaster of Paris mold to dry the latex. So about a week would go past, a head and a set of hands would come out, and my mom would sew the suits, and then would go and have the chest and hands sewn into the suit by the local guy that did awning work or that did canvas work. And but that's back then. I mean, this would have been in the '60s. The gorilla suit sold for, I think it was $250, which $250 doesn't seem like a lot today, but back in the '60s. $260 was a lot of money.
That was probably as high end a costume as you could get then.
That was. So my dad always just, for whatever reason, had a love with gorillas. This was actually one made, one of the first ones made. This is actually a silicone one made by Michael Burnett that my dad worked with. One of the Hollywood artists in California today. But yeah, it was pretty neat.
And can you tell us about the Bigfoot connection?
Well, a gentleman called my dad up and said, "Hey, I'd like to use one of your gorilla suits." And my dad says, "Okay." He says, "Why don't you let me out? Why don't you let me try it? Why don't you send it out to me? I'll try it. If I like it, I'll send you some money." My dad says, "Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you send me the money? I'll send it out to you. And if you don't like it, you send it back and I'll send you money back."
Right.
But, and the next thing he knew that he didn't know anything about Bigfoot. But the next thing he knew was that Bigfoot was used in this clip. And that was our costume.
That was y'all's costume. In the famous, is it Patterson? Is that the name?
Yeah, Roger Patterson.
Roger Patterson, yes. Yeah, in the famous clip that everybody has seen for decades.
That's right.
And man, I mean,
Bigfoot and Elvis still live today.
Absolutely.